What's up, everyone? Today is January 5th. It's Wednesday, and I'm going to be talking about the two plays I took today. Well, technically three because I played MU twice. I re entered it, but you can call it two plays. So I traded two names today. They were MU and QCOM. Both of them were pretty nice winners, especially QCOM. I believe I made 77% return on investment on QCOM, and MU wasn't that big of a winner, but I went in with pretty decent size. MU is about 30%, but nonetheless, percentages aside, I want to recap the technical analysis, the psychology leading up to the trade and in the trade, because in my opinion, there was a lot of lessons to learn from a day like today. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start off with MU first because while MU wasn't as big of a winner, I believe there were a lot more lessons to learn from this. So this was actually my first time trading MU, so I don't have a blank chart for it. But let's open a blank chart. So I posted MU in my plan yesterday. If you follow in the Discord, in member trade ideas, but essentially I saw a lot of things for MU which sparked my interest. So before levels, before zones, let's just take a look at MU's blank chart and see where it's been trading relative to QQQ. So MU, as everybody knows, has clear relative strength. We're trading literally at its high, pretty much broke all-time high today. So MU is very, very strong. If we compare that to NQ, NQ is not weak, I wouldn't say NQ is weak. I would say that NQ is trading in a range. What does that mean? We've been trading from this 15500 range all the way up to 16750. So trading in, I don't know, about a 2,000 point range. It's not bearish. Just means that we are trading in a range and there's no clear direction. So right off of the bat, I can tell that MU has relative strength. So that's obviously my first confirmation. Just give it a second. Looks like I lost Wi-Fi, which is interesting. I was just connecting. Yeah, just give me a second. I don't know why this happens. Let's try this one. Maybe I hit a plug somewhere. Yeah, no internet. Okay, this is connected now. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we're back. Yeah, sorry about that. But first confirmation is AMD, or not AMD, MU has relative strength. So after that, let's go ahead and draw out some zones. This is the first zone I had right here. 4-hour demand. And on top of that, I didn't really have any supply zones because MU is trading at its all-time high. So we probably do have demand lower, but as of now, this is the demand which I'm going to focus on, the demand which caught my interest. So let's go to let me pull up video so I can show you relative strength again on a daily time frame in a different perspective now. So let's pull up a daily chart on MU. And then let's pull up a daily chart on ES. Oh, I don't think you can see it, but let's go to a 5-minute chart on ES and still get the same idea. So if we go to a daily chart, this is January 4th, which was yesterday. You can see that MU closed green. So not only is it trading near its highs, but MU closed green on January 4th. It touched this 4-hour demand, got bought up with the lower wick. So this is letting me know that MU is getting ready for a big move. Why is that? Because 1, it closed green. 2, it had a lower wick. And 3, it hit 4-hour demand and got bought up. Now let's compare that to NQ. So NQ clearly sold off. I don't know exactly how much this is, but the main point to keep in mind was that NQ had a pretty, nasty red day where it was down over 200 points. So this is letting me know that, buyers are very, very interested in MU. And, this chart has so many confirmations already from a daily time frame that I'm expecting the breakout to be very, very big. So that was kind of the higher time frame analysis. Let's go down to an intraday time frame. We don't really need a spine cues anymore. Oh, actually, no, we do, because I want to go over this one lesson. So a couple of people asked me, why did I play MU off the open when Qs was weak? So the reason for this was, because of the daily chart. It doesn't happen all the time, but when I see a daily chart where we have so many confirmations, where we're showing relative strength to Qs on a day where Q sells off, a daily chart where we're holding near all-time highs, consolidating, getting ready for a big move up. As long as QQQ is not very, very weak on a higher time frame, I'm okay playing this MU breakout knowing that Qs is weaker. So, besides that, I really cannot give another explanation. It really just comes with experience and, practice and screen time. If this was an ordinary breakout, which I do trade, I probably would not have taken this if MU was a normal breakout, as it is a tech stock and tech stocks follow QQQ or NQ. I most likely would not have traded it, but just off of the daily chart, I was told otherwise. So that was pretty much the entire play. If you just want me to run through my entries and exits, I entered X amount of contracts here, and then I stopped out of these X amount of contracts because I went in with a little bit heavier size. In hindsight, I should have not, but because of my size, I wanted to have tighter risk. That's all okay because my trade thesis was not disproven. I saw us dip below and then immediately get bought up. So as soon as we, crossed above my resistance level again, I re-entered with the same size and almost about the same fill. I think this fill was 2 cents higher than the original fill. But then besides that, my thesis worked out perfectly. All I did was scale out on the way up. If I do have one improvement on this trade, for personal, a personal improvement would be I'm very, very patient with my scale outs, but I told myself I would swing these two overnight when that clearly doesn't make sense because we have FOMC. And not even that. This breakout was not as aggressive as I would have liked, considering there were so many confirmations on a daily chart. But, that happens. We can never predict what happens in the market. So therefore, I shouldn't have sold. I sold a portion of my contracts here. I should have sold them, near the top, or at least capitalize on this move up. Reason I didn't was because I had entered another trade at this point. But nonetheless, I need to not be as greedy on my exit. So that's just a personal improvement. So that was our first play. Now let's go back to the daily chart and we can analyze my second play, which was on QCOM. So QCOM and MU are both semiconductors, and everybody knows that semiconductors have been doing very, very good lately. So this was also my first time trading QCOM, and I had a very, very good time with it. I netted 77% return on investment, which is phenomenal. Remember, you only need a couple of these 75%, 100% return on investment plays to make your entire year. So if you did miss any today, it's completely fine. We're only 5 days into the year, so we're gonna have plenty of opportunities. So don't stress too much about it. But besides that, let's go to a blank chart on QCOM. So just like MU, so just like MU, QCOM is a semiconductor which has been holding value near its all-time highs. Again, holding value near the top of its highs, while Qs is trading in a range. So that's the first thing I liked about it. Second thing I liked about it was just a fundamental analysis behind it. QCOM is a semiconductor, and semiconductors are doing very well. So that's why a lot of these semiconductors are on my list. So that's pretty much the information I got just looking at a blank chart. Now let's go down to an intraday time frame. I can see the entries and exits now, or not the entries and exits. Now I want to go down through my time frames to draw up my supply and demand zones. And again, the reason I do this is just because it gives me context of where we have big buyers and big sellers. So just scrolling through my time frame, seeing if there's any zones that I like. I don't think I drew too many zones on this. Yeah, I can't really find any out at first glance. Yeah, so I don't know if I can find any, but the main thing to keep in mind is that there's no fresh supply zones, and that's the most important thing. Okay, so we did have this 1 hour supply right here, but the reason why I did not consider the supply zone was because, just changing the color for you. So the reason why I did not consider the supply zone was because the supply zone was used. We came up, we hit the supply zone, sold off, and then we immediately got bought back up. So I really do not consider used supply at all. So that's why I didn't have this used supply marked up. There we go. Okay, fine. Found a demand zone right here. It's 45-minute demand. But yeah, the main thing to keep in mind was there's no fresh supply and we are creating demand on the way up, which is a bullish sign. That's about it in terms of supply and demand. If there are any more, I don't think it's that important. But now let's go to a 1 hour chart where we can really focus on the levels to trade. So first, the most important level, or one of the more important levels in my opinion, is all-time high. Not to trade, but it just gives me an idea of where there's a lot of interest. So the reason why I'm not marking this 193.58 as all-time highs is because, I'm marking up this chart as if the action did not exist today. So if you exclude today's action, this level 192.68 was the all-time high. Top of that, I'm just drawing out some major areas of support and resistance. So this is a level I really, really liked right here. Something like this. Like rounder numbers. So let's go with 188.9. Very, very key resistance level. I will zoom in and show you the exact touches. But just look how clean this level is. Hit it as resistance once to the penny. Again, hit it to the penny twice. Not as clear, but act as resistance again. And then what really validated this level was its test yesterday at 9:30 yesterday. And the high of that was 188.93. So this area right here, 188.9, is a very, very key resistance level. It's an area where sellers are clearly present. So my plan now on QCOM is to take a break of this level, targeting all-time highs and beyond. I just realized I didn't show you guys the level for MU, so I'm going to quickly go back and do that. The level on MU actually stemmed from a daily chart where you can see we clearly have, 2 touches right here and then a third touch right here. So quickly, sorry that I missed it. That was a level on MU. But let's go back to QCOM. So I had my level now on the 1 hour time frame, and now my plan is to take a break of this, targeting all-time highs and then beyond. So now that we have my plan, let's go down to an intraday time frame, comparing against SPY and Qs, where I can really analyze those entries and exits. Also, I want to make sure I'm doing good on time because I want to cover a couple of psychological lessons as well. Okay, so again, QCOM had clear relative strength. At 10 o'clock, we broke its high of day. What did Qs do at 10? Oh, well, Qs also broke its high of day. But the main thing to keep in mind was that, while Qs did sell off the open, it immediately got bought back up and found support in this area. So that let me know that, That lets me know that, while sellers were present off the open, we are setting ourselves up for a possible balancing day, which means that, as long as we are not weak, I'm fine with taking place to the upside. And that's what happened. QCOM, broke the high of day. One thing to keep in mind is look at the volume at 10 o'clock right here. So when the volume is greater than the 9:30 candle, that means that a lot of people are interested in the stock. So QCOM's 10 o'clock volume candle had more volume than the 9:30 candle, which indicates that people were interested in QCOM. So I entered a starter size here, about half my position. Reason why was because I was in MU with pretty good size and I didn't want to risk too much initially. But then, about a minute later, I realized that, QCOM was setting up to be a very, very big breakout considering MU had already moved. Uh, Please note or keep in mind that if semiconductors move, like MU or AMD move, other semiconductors will tend to follow. So that's when I realized that I needed to enter my full position on QCOM. So I just added again as we broke the level. And then my scale outs were pretty simple. Scale some at this push here. And then again, one area of personal improvement is my target was all time highs. I don't know why I left more runners past my final target, but maybe if I wanted to keep, I could have kept like one contract running, but I need to sell the majority of my position here because this is when the contracts really really spike, and I cannot afford to sell my other contracts not at this spike pretty much. But that is the entire breakdown of this QCOM and MU play. A lot of these plays started from the higher time frame, which eventually led me down to the intraday time frame where I was able to identify the relative strength and then simply execute the trade. But that's pretty much it in general. If you have anything else you want me to go over, just DM me, or leave a comment in the YouTube section below. One last thing I want to go over is NQ had a pretty red day again because of FOMC. But one thing is, just because we're red or green doesn't mean that we're going to continue. I have been developing the ability just to predict the short term movement based off of the candles alone, not even the volume. And one thing I've learned, I've been picking up on the skill, but uh, when we are in a range, we tend to stay in that range for a while. Um, so what I mean by this is when we hit the lows, we tend to bounce. When we hit the highs, we tend to sell off. When we hit the lows, we tend to bounce. And then again, when we hit the highs, we tend to sell off. So based on previous action, based off of all of the strength on QQQs, do you really think that this is going to be the breakdown of this, range area? Um, while it quite possibly could be, it's very very important to keep in mind probabilities. So while there definitely is a chance that we're going to break down, like history has shown us in the past, there is a very very good chance that we are going to find support here and then bounce again. Um, so if you look statistically, 80% of breakdowns or breakouts fail, which means that 80% of the time, we tend to stay in the range, or 80% of the time, buyers find value at the lows and sellers find value at the highs. So that's a pretty important thing to keep in mind for the future of QQQ. And yes, just because we had a red day today does not mean we're just going to continuously sell off. While I could be wrong, this is just what I'm predicting based off of previous action. But that's pretty much it. I feel like there were a lot of good hidden gems, especially that small MU relative strength thing I picked up and why I took it despite Qs being weak in the first 5 minutes. But if you have any other questions, as I said, just hit me up on Discord and YouTube. And I hope you guys have a good rest of today and a good trading day tomorrow and for the rest of the week.